November 7th, 2014. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 59 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. My name's Mark Duvall, and sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, last episode was all talk about our trip to Vegas for VIMF.
Yeah.
And then it was 3 weeks. You had to go back 3 weeks before our episode before that.
Right.
So a lot of things have happened. There's been news that's come up, and we've gotten a lot of emails from listeners. So this is basically going to be a listener feedback catch-up show. Yeah, exactly. We did want to talk about a couple of news items here. First of all, this is kind of old news, and a lot of listeners have probably already heard about this. But Phil Ivey, as you recall, is involved in a couple of lawsuits, one over in England and one here in the United States, for edge sorting in baccarat.
Right.
And a judge in England has ruled that Phil Ivey cheated when he was using edge sorting in Puta Banca, which is like a form of baccarat, at Crockford's Casino in London. The ruling came down, he cheated.
So is he, besides having to pay back the money, is he going to be prosecuted for cheating?
No, I think in this case, they did not give him the money. So he was actually...
He was suing to get the money.
I'm getting it backward. I can't remember because the one here at Borgata was one way, Crockford's was the other. But the bottom line is he's not getting the money. He's cheating.
So what about some kind of criminal investigation? I mean, do they bar him from the casino for life? They throw him in jail?
That could be. I don't think there was a criminal. No, I don't. I think it was just a lawsuit. So I don't think it was a criminal case.
So it's not like he's going to go to the stockade in England.
Well, as you know, I'm not a lawyer.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can't really say for sure. But
he may be in the stockade then? Is that what you're saying?
It very well could be. Although I did see where this last week he got approved for medical marijuana in Nevada.
He got approved?
Yeah, it was like him and like 20 some other people.
I mean, to sell it or to use it?
To use it, I think.
What does he need medical marijuana
I just saw the
for?
headline.
To stay awake?
Folks, go to Google and look this up. Anyway, we don't want to talk too much about this because it is old news. But if you do want more information about it, we highly recommend that you go back and listen to the Gambling with an Edge radio show. It's also a podcast. They're October 16th and October 23rd episodes. They talk about it quite a bit. And in that second episode, they talk with lawyer Bob Nersessian, too, who certainly can speak to it better than we can.
I'm laughing to myself because I'm picturing Phil Ivey in downtown London in some center street in some stockade where his hands are in there and his head's poking through.
Yeah.
And his partner in this whole gambling thing, this lady partner that he had is like giving him a doobie, in his mouth.
He's got the little roach clip holding it up to his...
holding it for him to smoke his medical marijuana.
The other thing we want to talk about coming up this week is the final table of the World Series of Poker for this year. And it's going to be semi-live. It's a 15-minute delay. I think that's what it was last year. I assume it's the same this year. So it's not actually live, but it's a 15-minute delay. And it's really the only poker I watch on TV anymore is this. And I know a lot of people hate it because it's kind of like watching paint dry.
Right. Well, because you don't get to see the cards.
You don't get to see the cards till after the hand is over, right? And also, it's in real time, right? So if a guy's going into the tank for 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes on TV time. But I do like that. I prefer that to the prepackaged stuff. But anyway, if people are interested, it's coming this Monday, November 10th. It's going to start at 8 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN2, and it's basically going to go all through the night, that final table, till they get down to 2 or 3 finalists. And then it's going to pick up the next night, Tuesday night, at 9 p.m. Eastern on ESPN for like 2 hours. And then it's going to switch over to ESPN2 again for the rest of the night till they have a winner.
I have ESPN2.
Really?
Well, we are missing one of them. Now, maybe it's ESPN3.
Well, ESPN3 is not a channel. It's only online.
Okay, so it's not that then. Maybe it's ESPN2 we don't get.
All right. I'm
going to have to look into that.
You must get ESPN2. Maybe you don't get like ESPN News or ESPN
There's
Classic
one of the
or something.
ESPNs we don't get
All right.
for some
let's
reason.
not discuss it on the show. Let's move on.
All right.
But
Good.
Let's talk one more thing about your private life. You're going to be going to Vegas here soon, right?
I am going to Vegas in December for the Caesars Entertainment Great Gift Wrap-Up giveaway.
Right. And I'm not going to go because I can't swing it. And plus, I've only got like less than $100 in stuff, so it's not.
We're going to get our gifts, and we're going to go to the rodeo.
Oh, good.
The National Rodeo.
Yeah.
And it's that happens to be that same weekend.
Yeah. Now, Adam over at the Vegas Fanboy podcast, he is going to be there in December too. So you should coordinate with him.
I would like to.
And see.
I love his podcast.
Yeah, it's very entertaining.
It's entertaining. It's well thought out. He gives good advice. And I just like the way it flows.
Let's email him and find out when he's going to be there. I think he's going to be there with his wife also in December.
Right. Who he mentioned doesn't like to gamble.
Yeah.
So maybe his wife and my wife can go get a hairdo.
Right.
Or
the spa or something.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we could go play some craps.
There you go. All right.
Introduce him to Caesar's craps.
That's right. But didn't we swear off Caesar's craps a little while ago?
We just won the fire bet there.
All right, let's move on.
We'll be playing.
Yeah, let's move on. So we got an email let's jump into the listener feedback portion of the show. We got an email from listener Dennis, reading here. This is a lifelong argument at card games. When playing with wild cards, is there such thing as five of a kind? By definition, wild card can play as any card in the 52 card deck. If you have 4 kings of hearts, spades, diamonds, and clubs, how can you get another king if you already used all 4 kings? This is a great question. And we've had this philosophical question before. But let's start out by saying this. The consensus among poker players is that a 5 of a kind is possible with wild cards. And that 5th card is either a duplicate of one of the suits that's already there, or it's some magical suit, right?
It's no suit.
If you got 4 kings, that 5th king is just the king of nothing, right? Also, 5 of a kind. What?
King of nothing. I'm laughing. It was Halloween night. I just got to tell this story real quick.
Okay.
It's Halloween night, and I'm driving my daughter to run a quick errand before they were going to go trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
And there's just 2 people walking down the street, and they're just regular in their regular clothes. And I said, look, they're trick-or-treating. What do you think they're dressed as? And my daughter in the back seat looks at him, and she says, I don't know, a couple of nobodies? Well, you're the best line. Just a couple of nobodies. And that's the king.
That's the king. The king of nobody. The king of nobody. All right. Also, this is consensus among poker players. 5 of a kind beats a straight flush, including a royal flush.
Including the royal flush,
yep.
right.
5 of a kind even beats a royal flush, right?
That's the one thing about wild cards. Kind of throws a monkey.
Sure. I mean, but if you're going to play with a wild card, 5 of a kind is possible. Now, here's the thing that gets me, though. This it's inconsistent, and this is why we've kind of had this argument before. Let's say you have a wild card that completes a flush. So in this example, let's say you've got ace of hearts, 10 of hearts.
I know where this is going, yes.
7 of hearts, deuce of hearts, and a wild card. Yeah. All right? What is that wild? Now that wild card can be any card in the deck.
It's an ace. You've got an ace. See, that's the way I would play it.
But that's not, I know that's the way.
When you're comparing it to the other guy, you've got ace, 10. And if the other guy had ace, king, then you got him beat.
Right. Because, again, by definition, a wild card can be any card in the deck. However, the consensus, again, amongst poker players, if you were to go in a game you didn't know, the consensus is if it's filling in a flush, it would be the highest card that you don't have in your hand.
Right. So it'd be the king of hearts in your example.
It'd be the king of hearts, right.
Yeah. See, I like it with ace.
Well, see, that's why it's inconsistent. How come with 5 of a kind, it can be, an additional king in our example, but, for a flush, it can't be, one of the cards you already have.
Right.
So you'd have to actually have a flush with a pair. But anyway, as far as consensus goes, and you can argue what it should be and what it shouldn't, but the very well accepted consensus is 5 of a kind is possible with wild cards. Well, there's even a precedent for that in casino games, right? Because like in Pai Gow Poker, you could have 5 aces.
Right.
Right. With the wild card. Right.
Sure.
So there's a consensus for that. But for the purpose of a flush, the wild card would just be the highest card that you don't already have in your hand. Already have.
That's how they play.
So it would be a real flush. It wouldn't be a flush.
Of course, the most important thing is when you're playing, especially at your home game, establish these rules ahead of time.
Yeah, that, I mean,
if you're going to have wild cards, you just establish it ahead of time.
That's always a good idea if you're going to have wild cards. At least those two things. 5 of a kind is possible or isn't. You know, I mean, you can make a rule.
Right.
But if I were to go into a home game I've never played before, and we didn't talk about it beforehand, I would assume it's this way. So, all right, let's jump to our voicemail hotline. Don't forget, give us a call on our voicemail hotline, and maybe we'll play your message on the show. Our number is 951-292-4377. That's 951-2-WAGERS.
951-2-WAGERS.
Let's have a listen.
Hey, what's up, guys? I've been listening to the show for a few months now. Appreciate you guys putting the show on. I've been meaning to call or leave an email for quite a while, and finally getting around to it. Question, recently, my last few trips to Vegas, I've been doing most of my craps playing on Fremont Street. I like being able to hop over from one casino to the next easily. I like the 10 times odds. But I noticed that at the Fremont Casino and also, California, they only go 2 times odds. And I think it's 2.5 if the point is 6 and 8. I was wondering if that difference in rules is enough to deter you from playing there, or is that still a game that you take on? I actually had some luck there on Fremont because a buddy of mine who was probably the best roll we've had, I think he actually gave him a prize. He had like 40 rolls, which was pretty exciting because, man, it was one of those intense rolls that you get in. Anyway, I was just wondering if that was something you guys would think about, make you think again about playing. I generally just play the pass with one come bet. Maybe make sure I'm on either the 6 or the 8. So I don't know, the difference from 10 times to 2, I don't know. Got me wondering. That's all I got.
Okay, well, specifically in the case of the Fremont Casino, I don't think either one of us would play there with 2 times odds because there's so many places downtown that have, 10 times odds. There's even 20 times odds downtown.
Right. I wouldn't choose to play there just because of that. Although I will say that if your bankroll is such that you were only going to take 2 times odds anyway.
Yeah.
Let's say, you were, didn't matter that it was 10 times odds. You were going to bet $5 and $10 odds.
Yeah.
Right. Then, I'd play there. It's no different than anywhere else.
Well,
but if I'm going to take full odds like we usually do, why would I go there?
I'm glad you brought up small bankroll too, because I'm convinced that the reason Fremont only has double odds is because they have $3 craps guaranteed all day long.
Right.
So it is a place where you can, with a smaller bankroll, play.
Right.
So that's really their draw. So the only reason I would play there is if I wanted to play cheap craps and
but
not worry about
why would they only have 2 times? Why not go to at least 5 times or 3, 4, 5? And still have $3 craps.
I don't know. Maybe that's the reason is they want to make as much money as the other casinos. So they want people to be betting less on the odds. It's offset by the small minimums that they're, providing.
Yeah, maybe.
I guess,
that
right?
Could
That's
be,
my guess.
Right.
So
yeah, they're thinking that if some guy's going to bet 3, they don't want to get $3 and $30 odds and get burned.
Yeah. Now, if we're talking about just some casino that's out, in the middle of nowhere by itself, and all they offer is double odds, well, yeah, sure, we'd probably play because it's the only game in town.
Right.
And, there's nothing.
But if I can walk right over to Four Queens and have 5 times odds, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, right. Well, or the D and have 10 times odds, right? And I think, was it Main Street Station has 20 times
20
odds?
Times,
so, there's so many more places downtown. Now, it's and as far as like a hot roll goes, well, that can happen anywhere, right? There's, you just happen to catch the hot hand.
I don't know. For me, it's the atmosphere is more important than anything else.
Sure, we've talked about that atmosphere, the crew that's working, especially.
The crew that's working, yeah. If one place offers 10 times odds, but the atmosphere sucks and the crew's terrible, I'm going to go to the 3, 4, 5 place.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the way it is. But I would prefer they all have 10 times odds.
Sure. Well, it's funny.
And you don't have to bet 10 times.
Because we got an email from listener Jim from New York. He was out here at Vegas recently, and he was kind of shell-shocked because of the 3, 4, 5 times odds.
Right.
He's used to 10 times odds at Atlantic City.
Right.
So,
when you're used to 10 times odds, you get spoiled.
Yeah.
Now, we're used to 3, 4, 5 because most of our play is here at Hertz, Southern California.
Yeah.
And it's 3, 4, 5 like most of the strip.
Yeah.
So, when we go to a place that has better than 3, 4, 5, we're kind of excited.
Oh, very exciting, yeah. Of course, some of the local casinos here do have better than 3, 4, 5.
I know. Right up at Verona, they've got 5 times.
Yeah. And Viejas, I think it's 10 times. We've talked about that.
The atmosphere is not as good.
No, right, exactly.
And the giveaways aren't as good.
It's not as good, yeah. All right, we got an email from listener Brian. He wrote, in your Vimp Report show, I noticed you had to wait at Hertz. For anyone who is a member of AAA, there is a great perk that I found by accident. Your membership comes with a free membership to Hertz Gold Club. Why this is cool is that as a Hertz Gold Club member, you can skip the line. Not just get to the front or have your own little line, skip it. Here's how it works. Rent your car and add your Hertz Gold number to the reservation. Also, give them your flight number if you're flying in. When you land, you will get a text message saying something like your Hertz vehicle is ready for you in spot 235. All you do is take the shuttle to the rental car complex and go directly to your car and leave. I wish we'd known this because I actually made the reservation through AAA.
Yeah, we both have AAA. Had we known this would have been great.
Oh, yeah, because it's a long line there, yeah.
Yeah, it's great for people who know that.
What's funny, too, I don't know if you noticed, when we were going out to our car, there was a special check-in for Hertz Gold members, too.
Right, yeah.
So, even if we didn't know about the deal where you could go straight to your car, we could have at least gone up to that quick window.
Exactly. And, it's great for Hertz. I mean, I don't know if other dealers offer this, other rental car dealers.
It could be,
but if they don't, I would take Hertz every time.
Yeah, well, we've got to remember this. If we ever rent a car in Vegas again, I don't know if we will. Maybe 15 years from now, since that was the last.
It'll all change. They'll be like, "Oh, what? That went out in the 2013
AAA.
year.
What's that?"
Yeah.
Well, anyway, good. Thanks for the tip, Brian. Hey, we want to thank everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonthat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback that helps cover the costs of hosting the show, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal.
My wife just bought a bunch of stuff on Amazon, and she always goes through our thing. And I said to her, "Oh, good," and she said, "Yeah, it's easy because when I pull up Amazon, it's already there on your page."
Oh, good. Okay.
So she doesn't have to go to our page.
Oh, really?
She just goes to Amazon. It's already on our page because she's used it so much.
Oh, she's used it so much? Now, that might not be for everybody.
That might not be for everybody. That's great.
Yeah.
It's so easy for her.
Yeah, well, that's good. So I would recommend.
She can't forget that way.
I would recommend people actually go to our page and click through just in case.
Yeah, it's probably better to make sure. Right.
Plus, with the holiday shopping season coming up, you got to buy some stuff. Who's not buying something through Amazon?
Everyone buys through Amazon now.
Now, you've got a story about the field?
The field bet.
All right.
Yeah. So, just this week, a friend of ours that we used to deal craps with when we worked for a casino party company back in our college days came into my office. He still does this, him and his wife, all these years, they still do this.
Good, yeah.
And he gets a kick out of it. He has a real job, but he likes to do it on the weekends. It makes a little extra money, and they have fun doing it.
It's fun, a party, yeah.
Yeah, and so anyway, I said to him, "So what's new?" And he says, "Oh, we got new layouts on our craps tables, new felts."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Oh, that's nice. What color they were talking about?" And he says, "Oh, it's interesting. They don't have the big 6 and big 8 anymore."
Good.
And I said, "Well, that's pretty standard now. The old ones were so old, they still had the big 6 and big 8.
Right.
And he said, "And the felt's kind of weird. It pays 3-2 on 2 and 12.
3-2?
3-2 on 2 and 12.
Okay.
So, how most fields, all the numbers are even money except the 2 and the 12. And sometimes the 2 will pay double and the 12 will pay triple or vice versa, or they both pay double or something. Yeah. This one pays 3-2 in the field.
Where did they get this felt?
That's what I'm saying. Have you ever seen a felt like that?
No.
It pays 3-2. And this is a casino party for, it's not real money.
Yeah.
It's like a charity type thing. It's play money. So, why not make it to 100-1 if the 12 comes out? Why would you make it 3-2?
3-2.
Yeah. Now I'm wondering if some casinos are actually going to go to this.
I hope not.
You think 6-5 blackjack is bad? 3-2 on the 2 and 12?
Oh, why would they?
And he was complaining because these casino parties, it's real low limits.
Yeah. And
he's like, people always put $1 in there.
Yeah, right.
And now we don't have 50-cent chips. So when they bet the field, we have to tell them $2 minimum because, it's going to pay 3-2 if the 2 or 12
that is just stupid. I hope that's not something that's around the corner.
Well, when he said that, I was like, are you serious? Because they get the felts printed by a company, right? All
right.
To look into this and see if there's any casino in the country that has 3-2.
All right, so this honestly is the first time hearing about it. We didn't talk about this before.
No, I just the other day, I found out about this Monday.
All right, so. I'm going to look, let's investigate that because that's strange.
Yeah, now maybe it's just the owner of this company, wanted to do that, but why would he do that?
Yeah, why would he get customized?
He would want it to be more, right?
Or pay triple on both of them, right? Like they do in New Mexico, right?
Right, exactly. 3-2 on the 2 and 12. Bizarre. That is a weird thing.
Wow. All right, let's go to another email. This our listener Victor sent us a bunch of questions, so let's go through some of these questions. All right, number 1. I have a friend who has a Vegas tradition. As soon as he walks into the first casino, he goes right up to the roulette table and places $100 on black or on red and tries his luck. A sort of let's get the trip started bet. I did this at the last trip, but did it on a single hand of blackjack. No roulette for me. 1 chip, please, at an empty table. I lost it. What would be the best single bet in the casino for this tradition? It does not matter how long it takes, although a quick decision is more in the spirit, and it must be possible with one $100 chip. So it can't be a pass line bet with odds, for example. So I don't know what you think, Mike, but I think blackjack's the way to go.
Well, I like blackjack because it's a quick decision.
Quick decision, right. Low house edge if you find the right rules.
Right, if you find the right rules. But what do you do if you get, a split hand or a double down?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah. If
if you get a split hand, let's say the dealer has a 6 and you've got 2 8s, are you going to pull out another 100?
Yeah,
is that your thing?
That's a very good point because the house edge is low if you can double on anything, if you can split things. Yeah, if you got a pair of aces,
right?
Are you willing to pull out that extra 100? That is a good point. Yeah.
Because then you could be 200 down to start your trip.
Yeah, that's
true.
And
if you brought 500 for your trip, that's a chunk of money,
that's right?
It kind of depends on what your stakes are and everything. Yeah. So, yeah, blackjack would be my guess, but then I'd be thinking about that. My luck, I'm going to get a pair of 8s. I'm going to split and get another 8.
Well,
right. Then I'm going to have $300 out there.
If a pair of 8s, at least you could just surrender if they have that, or just stay if the dealer's showing a bad card. Well, but what I'm saying is when you have a pair of 8s, that's a losing hand. Even if you split, it's a loser. You'll just lose less in the long run by
But if you're going to play basic strategy.
Well, a better example is if you have a pair of aces.
Right.
What do you get a pair of aces, then what do you do, right?
And then are you going to resplit the aces if you get another ace?
If they let you do that.
If they let you do that. Are you going to put $400 out there if you got 4 aces?
That is a good question.
And then the dealer hits to 21 and you end up losing $300. Yeah. How about this?
All right.
You take your 100 and drop it on a hard 8.
No.
Just boom, hard 8. No. And then you just pray like crazy. Like, please, hard 8, $900 if it is.
If you weren't I will say this, if you weren't willing.
Take it down, 1,000 and down.
It'd be very fun.
Yeah,
but,
fun.
He's going to lose it, 9 times out of 10 trips.
What's your motive here? To see how your luck's going and have fun, or to win that bet?
I think to win that bet.
Okay, if it's truly to win that bet, then I don't know, put $100 in the video poker machine.
No, he wants 100. Look, let's not belabor this. All right. If you're not willing to play the basic strategy and split or double down, and it does, and you said it could stay out there a while. He wanted a quick one, but he said he's willing to wait. You just put on the pass line or the don't pass.
Right. Pass line would be fine.
Right. And then what problem is, though, you might be there, 20 minutes waiting for the result.
How about no four? $100 no four.
$100 no four to win 50.
To win 50. Put the big out there.
The answer is blackjack, but just be prepared to play basic strategy if you have to. All right.
It's going right on the hard edge.
We don't need to talk about this anymore. Question number 2. I've read that M Life is better for table players and Total Rewards is better for slot players. Would you put any credence in that? What would such a claim potentially be based on? I've heard the same thing, but I have no idea. I haven't had any firsthand experience with it.
Well, I think they rate you better. I think Total Rewards does rate slot players better than table players.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen that.
Yeah.
In our play.
Really?
I think we get better rating when I sit at a slot machine for a little while than the hours on the craps table.
That could be. Now, as far as M Life goes.
I don't know about M Life because we don't play there that much.
Yeah. So if anybody has any thoughts on this or seen anything firsthand, let us know. Question 3. This is related to it. Can you speak more about your insights into how table play gets rated? In other words, what do you think your years of experience have suggested about the black box voodoo of table game rating? In one episode, Mike described the experience at RingCon when the supervisor had to approve his rating. My experience has seemed random at times. I wonder sometimes if we do not get the credit we deserve or get credit we don't deserve. Well, let's talk about this approval first for you. That wasn't related necessarily to how you were rated at the table. It's just that you were throwing around so much money.
Right. That they wanted to make sure that was a correct.
Yeah. They had to go through an additional process.
Yeah. To
just
make sure
he's a high roller.
That was a correct rating, that it wasn't some mistake.
Right.
However, I 100% agree that sometimes we probably get more than we deserve. And a lot of times we probably get less than we deserve.
Yeah, I think we get less than reserve, more than we get more than we deserve. But we have no idea. I don't think anybody does.
It is voodoo.
Especially since there's a person who's involved in it, who's looking at what you're betting, making a judgment call. It's not like a slot machine where it's all exactly how much coin in you're putting,
And we have noticed from our own experience that some pit bosses rate us better than other people.
We've seen that, sure.
We've definitely seen, even on the same trip, even like, we'll be playing one night at a table and we'll get a higher rating the next morning than we do that day, playing the exact same way for the exact amount of time.
Yeah.
And the only difference is there's a different pit boss.
Oh, yeah. It's so subjective. Yeah, it's got to be.
It's ridiculous.
No, I wish we knew. We've talked about maybe some tricks that you can do, like when you first get to a table, maybe bet more than you're going to bet the rest of the time. I don't even know if that works.
Well, I don't know. I think it does because a lot of times I see where they come and they look at, he's betting a quarter and he's doing this. He's okay. And they rate you and then you disappear.
Yeah.
For a half hour, right? Yeah. And the whole time you've been rating it, you could go back to betting nothing, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think they come around and change it.
There have been times where I've been at the table and I've said, hey, look, I'm buying the 4 for $100. Right. Hey, did you see?
Yeah,
I increased my bet.
You almost have to do that. Well, at RingCon at Southern California Harrah's, they have these things where they give you money back, or your rating at the end of the night, you get a certain amount for
cash.
So many points, they give you cash back.
Yeah.
And it is important to say, hey, look, this is the way I'm playing.
Yeah.
Because that thing pisses me off to no end.
Well,
because sometimes I always play the same, and sometimes I get a ton of money, and sometimes I get hardly any.
Yeah.
What the hell? I play the same way.
I would say this. If you're having a good run and you decide to increase your bet, it doesn't hurt to say to the pit boss, hey, look, I'm increasing my bet.
Right.
Hey, I was betting, $10 blackjack. Now I'm betting $25 blackjack.
Especially if it means something to you. Yeah. I mean, if it's there's a cash back thing or some kind of bonus thing going on where your play in that particular night means a lot.
Yeah.
Because we get these multipliers where your points get multiplied by 10 times or whatever.
Yes.
And, that means a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it's just a regular night, maybe a little bit of difference doesn't really make that much of
I'd say it doesn't hurt. As long as you're not annoying the pit boss. Right. You just, erase your account.
It's every time he bullhorn. This is what I'm betting.
Yes, sir. All right. Another question. Question 4. What should have happened? Now, I'm going to read you this story. You tell me what you think should have happened, then I'll tell you what did happen. Okay. All right. I'm reading now Victor saying, I was playing blackjack and the dealer skipped me in the deal. There were 4 of us at the table. She just missed giving me a first card, even though my bet was out and I had been sitting there playing for a while. I wasn't paying attention, and she only realized it after the other 3 people had their first card out. 1 to the right of me, 2 to the left. What do you guys think should have happened? What do you think?
Me?
Yeah.
Just play the hand.
Just play it out.
Play it out. You just missed the hand. It's like you said to her, I'm setting this one out.
Yeah.
Now, it's not his fault.
No.
It's obviously her fault. Yeah. But all you can do is just play the hand, because it's not fair to the other people if some guy got blackjack or something, especially if they've looked at their cards.
Yeah, right.
Right? You just kind of have to play that hand out. Now, if nobody's looked at their cards, you haven't seen a dealer card, nobody's looked at their cards, and I was the pit boss, I'd say bring them all back, let's reshuffle, let's redo this.
What if they dealt it out and the dealer got blackjack? What do you think the players would think?
Well, they'd be pissed.
Yeah.
But what if the dealer got, 12 and busted?
All right, so you want to hear what happened?
Okay. Yep.
And tell me what you think about this. All right. The dealer called over the pit boss and showed him the mistake and asked him what to do. He had her finish the deal, leaving me out. Then he let the 3 other players evaluate their hand versus the dealer's up card and asked each of them what they wanted to do, play their hand or not. It was up to them.
Excellent. That's a smart pit boss.
They ended up all, deciding to play.
Yeah.
But, the thing is,
that's a smart pit boss, because he kept everyone happy.
Yes.
Right? The other players didn't feel like they got screwed because it's their own decision.
Right.
And everyone's happy. And, to the casino, it doesn't make that much difference in the long run, right?
It really, now, as far as Victor goes, it didn't help him any. He didn't get a hand. I mean, it doesn't.
Well, it's just like, I went to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you missed a hand. Big deal.
So I think that's a good decision too. Yeah. But I wouldn't expect a pit boss to have made that decision. I could see a pit boss just saying, just play the hand out.
Right. Or just saying no hand and then
well, but even that's cards. Rough too. Again, what if somebody got blackjack, right?
Exactly.
How happy are they going to be?
The thing is he made the right decision. He made everyone happy.
It's one hand. It's one hand.
Right.
Right. Yeah. They're making their money still.
Plus, it depends on, I don't know if the pit boss would have done that if every guy had $500 bet.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, if every guy has $10, he's probably like, oh, what the hell? Play the hand if you want.
Yeah. All right. Question 5. I was playing craps and we were all having a good time doing some winning. Then the situation turned when the dealer asked one man to place his drink, red wine in a stem glass, on the shelf below the rail and to drink it from there. Of course, how many times have we seen people just...
Well, this last weekend, remember that woman?
Yeah,
and she had that wine right over the table. And I turned to Mark. She was on the other side of the table. I said, it's going on the table. I just know it's going on the table. She wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
She's holding... And all it takes is the guy next to her to bump her arm. And it'll just slosh
It wouldn't
out.
even be her fault, right?
Right.
So anyway, they asked him to put the drink down there. He was very upset about this. To make a long story short, they insisted and he refused and the pit bosses got involved. See, this is it's so stupid, right? There's a reason. You've got this wine here. It's going to spill on the table. Put it down there. Why would somebody make a fuss?
No, just put your wine down.
Anyway, he colored up and left.
Any drink over the table, not just wine. I mean, wine would be the worst example.
Yeah.
But any drink over the table.
Beer, anything.
And we've been on tables where somebody's dropped a beer on the craps table.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And or remember one time, I don't know if you remember this, it was years ago, the guy had a cigar.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah.
And he held it out over the table, and it was at the point where this, it had been smoked down, and a bunch of ash fell on the table.
Yeah.
It was a mess. Yeah. And it was so hard to clean.
Well, do you remember he kind of rubbed it in?
He kind of rubbed it in, trying to get it up. And they're like, don't touch anything. Don't touch anything. They had to get a lady come out, and she had a little broom and a brush. Yeah. And they actually had to wet the table and clean. It took forever.
Yeah, now, this is funny because this isn't even this isn't even really the main part of the story. This is just the lead up to it. Okay.
Right.
All right. It continued to be the talk of the table for a bit amongst the players. Everyone siding with the dealers, of course.
Right.
But one dealer was really worked up and proceeded to go on and on about it with the other dealers. He was right in front of me. Frankly, I did not want to keep this negative movement alive while I was trying to enjoy my vacation time. I tried to engage the dealer in light conversation to change the subject, asking him how long he'd been dealing, how long he worked at the casino, when it opened, etc. None of it worked. He would answer the question and go back to moaning. What would you guys have done? Let him have his conversation? Get more direct? Complain to the boxman? I just let it go.
Well, just letting it go is the right answer.
I think so.
But I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
When it comes to something like this, you have to approach this like everything else in life. if it's negative energy and it's just going on, I just leave.
Yeah. If you really, it's, I wouldn't have like confronted him because then that's a whole other issue.
Yeah, that's
right?
the worst thing you can do.
Like shut the hell up.
And the dealer should know better that he should just let it go.
He should have let it go.
Because anyone who's dealt a well, I mean, you work with the public. You're going to see all kinds of crazy stuff.
Well, and this business with the drink, that comes up a lot. Maybe this dealer was new because this is not, they see this all the time.
It happens all the time. And, you can't let stuff like that bother you. So you just move on.
Yeah.
When we're at a table and somebody's doing something obviously stupid, and we've left tables before where we said, oh, yeah, okay, I just don't want to be here. Where there's a guy who constantly is arguing because I made a bet and you didn't book it or this or that. After a little bit of that, I'm ready to go.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Especially if you're in Vegas or somewhere. Because it's like you said, you're on your vacation, you want to have a good time. Oh, yeah. You do not need to hear this.
That's why we left Harrah's Las Vegas so quickly last time.
Oh,
we only
terrible.
Played 5 or 10 minutes and the energy was just awful. The players and the dealers, we got out of there.
I mean, the dealer had a bad headache. I felt bad for that. But her mood was so pissy and everything. It was like, okay, that's enough. Yeah.
All right, question number 6. I was playing craps at another casino, and one gentleman was lobbing the dice pretty high, above head level. The boxman told him the dice needed to be at least eye level in the throw. The shooter said he had not heard this in 30 years of playing and did not like it much. I've never heard that.
I have.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
But you've thrown pretty high sometimes.
I've thrown high, but I've had them tell me bring it down. And I've heard people say, look, keep it, above your...
Why? It seems to me it's more random that way, right? What do they think's going on?
No, I don't think it's cheating. I think it's just like a safety issue. Like, you throw it up a little high and then a little higher, and pretty soon you're throwing it off the table.
All right.
And a dice hits somebody in the head or the eye or something.
All right. Anyway. He did agree, though, partly because the woman next to him told him to shoot for boob level and offered hers as a guide. So that would, I guess that would help.
Smart woman.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think? Have you heard this? Would you consider the request reasonable? So we kind of
I would consider it reasonable if it was getting extremely high. The hard thing about that is if he's in a good role, if he's been doing it for a while and things are going your way, you're like, oh, he changes it, it'll be a 7, and then everyone's pissed off.
Yeah,
but do you remember it was Mirage.
Okay.
You and I, we walked up to a table. There was a high roller on the table. I mean, high roller, very, very drunk. Yep. And he was turning his back to the table and then throwing the dice over his shoulder backwards.
That's right. I forgot.
Remember?
Yeah.
And the first couple of rolls, the dice went on the table.
Yeah.
But then he was getting drunk and he was getting higher and he hit a box woman who was sitting there at the table, hit her in the face.
Yeah.
With one of the dice.
Yeah.
And I mean, hit her pretty good.
Yeah.
And then they hadn't said anything to him
because he was a high roller.
He was a very high roller.
Yeah, that's right. I do remember.
And he was wasted. But once he hit her, that was it.
Yeah.
Then they all came over. They didn't care how much he was betting.
Sure.
It was like, look, you got to throw the dice appropriately.
Yeah.
And it was annoying the hell out of me.
Oh,
it was just him and you and I.
I remember now.
And we were on the other side.
Yeah.
And I was mad because it was like he could get away with anything because he was betting hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But as soon as he hit somebody, it was like, okay, now you're going to settle down.
Yeah.
That's why it is. Well, it's a safety issue.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. Well, you've seen it. I haven't seen it. I don't see people throwing it too high, but there are some people who like to get it, pretty elevated.
I mean, it depends on what you consider too high.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I would consider 15 feet above the table pretty high.
Yeah, I guess that would.
Unless you're chucking a drink.
I might go for that.
And then, throw it as high as you can.
Your wine glass in one hand and then throwing the dice as high as you can. Well, here, I'll catch them. All right, number 7. Buffaloes. What is the payout difference between a buffalo and a buffalo yo? I am not a center table bettor, but sometimes I do take a bet there to mix it up. Okay, so just a reminder on buffalo bets. A regular buffalo at the craps table is just a 5-unit bet. It's 5 separate bets, 1 on each of the hard ways and 7. That's a regular buffalo, right? A buffalo yo is 1 on all the hard ways and an 11. So the difference in the
7.
Yeah, no 7, right? So the difference in the payout, well, obviously if hard way comes up, it's the same. But if a 7 comes up, that pays 4-1, right on that bet. And if that's on a regular buffalo, and on a buffalo yo, if the 11 comes up, gets 15-1 or 15-4-1, depending on what table you're at. But I mean, that's the only. They're really 2 different bets, and it just one's a 7 and one's an 11. That's right. Yeah. And Victor's final question. Why is Christopher Walken's picture all over the back wall of Aria? any idea. So yeah, this is just all it is an art piece by the artist Julian Schnabel. It's called 9 Faces of Christopher Walken.
He's a weird dude.
It's just 9 separate pictures of him in the back. That's all it is. It's just an art piece.
I'd love to play crafts with Christopher Walken.
That'd be the best.
Oh, he's a weird dude.
It would be so funny.
funny.
Wouldn't it be great? And he's like got the dice, and as soon as he lets them go like real high in the air, we're sitting there with cowbells, just, bringing them as loud as we can, right? They go in the air, and they land down.
He's a weird dude, and he's somebody I'd like to meet just because he's, I don't know.
Oh, sure. He's weird and funny and interesting.
Yeah, he's weird, funny, and interesting. He'd be great. These were great questions.
Yeah, these are very good questions. Thanks, Victor. Yeah, there's no, but I mean, just to follow up, Christopher Walken, there's nothing, he's got no association with Aria. It's just an art piece.
It's just an art piece. Yeah. I wonder what he thinks about it.
Walken?
Yeah.
I'm sure he loves it.
I should call Aria and see if they could get one with me.
Okay.
Just a bunch of pictures of me.
I'm going to take 9 photos of you, right? 9 faces of Dr. Mike. I'll just post them on the internet.
They'd all be scowls, like, get away from me, I'm playing craps.
That's good. I'll start taking these pictures next week. All right. Let's move on to another email that we got from Jordan. He was talking about a poker home game that we might want to try. And we'll just go over this real quickly. We won't do a total poker home game segment because there's not too much to talk about here. But he said, a buddy of mine made this one up. It's not that great, but it's a good name, which made it stick in our rotation. Oma-draw.
I like that. Oma-draw.
Oma-draw plays just like Omaha High, but after everyone gets their 4 cards, they can exchange 0 to 4 cards and pay a chip for each card they choose to exchange. After everyone draws, then it's normal Omaha High rules. I like that. Maybe
I assume you go by the person who was dealt first gets first choice how many they want to exchange.
Probably. Yeah, it would go around like that. I would think so. And, what do? You could make it like maybe the cost of the small blind or something like that, or the big blind, depending on much per card.
Per card.
I would say like the small blind. Okay.
So if the small blind's $1, it'd be $4 to do all cards.
To get all of them, right.
Yeah,
right.
It's not bad. I like it. It creases the pot. It doesn't really make your hand.
Well, you're gonna get bigger hands, right?
You're gonna get bigger hands. But, if some guy has 2 small cards, he might want to draw 2 other.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Now, the thing is, if you, who's going to draw 4 cards, right? I mean, that'd be just stupid to do that, right? So maybe you do make it like
that'd be pretty dumb because you've got obviously you've got a terrible hand.
Right.
Right. And then your chances you could get another terrible hand, you pay twice as much.
Yeah,
money.
No. I think maybe this is an argument to make the cost of each card the big blind. Because most people are only going to be drawing maybe 2 at the most, right?
It's probably only
Unless
2.
Maybe you've got an
probably
ace that's
one.
not suited.
I mean, the most common thing would probably
one.
just be 1 card.
Right. If you had like an ace that wasn't suited, maybe then you draw 3. Yeah. But if you've got a suited ace, then you'd maybe draw the other 2. Or if you've already got ace 2. It's good. We'll have to try that.
Yeah. I like the name. Oma-draw.
Oma-draw. Oh, we got an email from Chris. Again, talking about home games, poker home games. A regular game for us that's a complete mind bender is Second Best Hold'em. We play a no-limit version of it, although you could theoretically use any other established poker structure as well. The point is, the second best hand at Showdown wins the pot. Try it out, and you'll see how difficult it is.
Okay, first of all, way too difficult for my brain.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now. It's hard enough to figure out if you've got the best hand. To figure out if you've got the second best hand.
I know. Here's the thing. We did call this recently in our home game, and it did throw everybody for a loop. Because if your head's up, it's kind of okay because it's like, okay, I just want a bad hand, right? And if the other guy folds, obviously if everybody folds, then you win the pot, right? But as long as I've got like a really bad hand. The problem is when there's more than 2 people in the hand.
Sure.
And a few of us were still thinking, oh, I want a bad hand. But you don't. You want that hand that's kind of okay. Right. So, none of us could figure it out. We didn't play at no limit. We just played a limit.
It's too hard. It's the kind of hand that at the end you hold up $1 and say, okay, I got $1 for anyone who wants to kick me in the nuts. That's what you do at the end of that hand. I mean, that's the only thing you can do.
I don't know if we're going to play it again because it did kind of drive us nuts. But,
and I don't want to get kicked in the nuts every hand.
All right, we got an email from Matt. He had a variation of Omaha High-Low. Oh, and also in that Oma-draw that Jordan was talking about, he said it was Omaha High, but I'd probably play it High-Low too to really make it interesting.
Not?
Yeah. Anyway, from Matt, the guys I play with call it big nuts.
Okay, I like this
already.
already.
It already, yeah. It's basically 4 cards to each player, just like in Omaha. Then you make a plus in the middle of the table with 5 cards each way, with both sharing the middle card. So you make like a cross in the middle.
Like crisscross.
Like a
the game we
crisscross,
play
right.
crisscross.
These are face down, the community cards. Then you play like Omaha high-low. There's a betting round, and then you turn over 2 cards in the middle, one from each line, right? And then a betting round, and then you turn over the other two cards on the outside, another betting round, and then finally you turn over the middle card, right? And then people make their hands using any 2 from their hand, and then any 3 that make a straight line in that cross.
Okay.
Right? So 2 from your hand and, the 3 cards going horizontally, or 2 from your hand and 3 cards going vertically.
Okay.
So you actually have fewer combinations than in regular Omaha high-low, right? Because you can't use any combination of the 5 cards.
Right. You can only use the lines.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to try that. We haven't played that one yet, but yeah, it's another good variation.
You know what we should do?
What's that?
We should combine all 3 of these games we just talked about.
Okay.
So you get to exchange, you get Oma-draw, you get to exchange some of your cards, right?
Yes.
You're playing for second best hand in crisscross, and you can only use each way, and the middle card's wild.
And it's second best hand high and low.
Right. And low. That would be great. Are you kidding me? Combine all 3 of these. We'll get all these guys. We'll invite them out here to San Diego. We'll play this game. Now, what are we going to call this game?
Oh, well, we'll have to be a combination of all of them, right? So it's Big Nuts Oma-draw second best.
Yeah, Big Nuts Oma-draw.
Oma-draw.
Second best Oma-draw.
Okay.
Big Nuts second best Oma-draw.
All right.
Boy, that's a good game. We're going to play that.
All right. Now, I'll tell you what. Next time you come, which will probably be, I imagine you'll come sometime around the holidays, right?
Right.
Next time you come, you call that
That's
game.
what I'm going to call. Yeah, trying to explain it to our group of people.
Yeah. I'm going to first explain each of the 3 games individually and then say, okay, we're going to play all 3 at once.
We're going to play all 3 at once. And at the end, somebody's going to get kicked in the nuts.
That's right. That's all that happens at the end. The pot just all goes into jackpot, right? That's
right.
Somebody gets kicked in the nuts. All right. That's going to do it for this episode. Hey, thanks for all the feedback that we got from everybody. We really appreciate it. It means so much to us because when we get feedback, we know that we're, reaching some people, and it's great that the community, is responding here. We get such a big kick out of it.
I like answering the questions.
Oh, yeah, I know. It's so much fun. Yeah, it's so much fun. All right. Be sure to download our app for your mobile device. You'll get access to all our episodes, quick links to contact us via Twitter, Facebook, email, and our voicemail hotline. And you'll get bonus audio. On the bonus audio for this episode, we talk about free play. And we actually recorded it before this show. So there's some paradoxical
time travel
time shifting issue that you'll find out if you listen to the bonus audio. With our app, you'll also get TV listings showing all the gambling related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. I update those listings every Wednesday using a program I wrote myself to search through all the raw American TV data. The bonus audio and the TV listings are only available on our app. To download it, go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com. And on the left-hand side of the page, click on the link that says how to download our app. We have a link for Android devices and another one for iPhones and iPads. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at youcanbetonThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat. And finally, head on over to iTunes and write a review on us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. Mike, what do you got?
I'm just laughing to myself because we mentioned Vegas Fanboy earlier.
Yeah.
I love that podcast.
Yeah.
I like everything about it, really.
Yeah.
But I really like the name Fanboy.
Yeah.
Vegas Fanboy.
Yeah.
Because it reminds me of a story, and I can't say it out loud here.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Because it's a little off color.
Yeah, that's right.
But if I ever meet any of you again in person and you want to know the Vegas Fanboy and you won't be offended by off color stuff, I'll tell you that story. But every time I listen to it, I just laugh to myself because I think of that story.
I hope, all right, yeah. Right. If we meet anybody, you ask Dr. Mike. He'll tell you the story. Maybe you'll think it's funny as we do.
Yeah,
we think it's pretty funny.
We think it's funny because we know the person.
Yeah, that's the real reason involved in it. All right. Anything else?
I'm going to laugh all night about that.
Yeah, me too.
No, I'm good for this week.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.